Welcome to this Decryptage. Today, we're diving into something that honestly feels like a massive paradox. We are connecting a super trendy, everyday wellness product, the stuff you've probably seen sitting right there at your local health food store, to the absolute cutting-edge, highly complex world of global virology. We are talking about Cannabidiol, better known as CBD, and this genuinely astonishing new discovery about how it interacts with the human immunodeficiency virus, HIV-1. I know, it sounds a bit like science fiction, but it is deeply grounded in serious, peer-reviewed research.
So, the big question we have to ask right out of the gate is this: can a simple oil actually stop a global virus? It is incredibly surprising to think that a non-psychoactive plant extract, something we mostly associate with like relaxing after a long day or soothing sore muscles, could have the sheer biological power to limit the transmission of HIV-1. But as you're going to see, the science is pointing to some really profound microscopic interactions that could completely change how we approach a viral prevention.
Here is our roadmap for today. We'll start with une découverte médicale inattendue, zoom way into au cœur du système immunitaire, break down le mécanisme de blocage, and finally wrap up with une nouvelle stratégie préventive. Let's get into it.
All right, part 1. Une découverte médicale inattendue.
In this really groundbreaking study published in Mucosal Immunology, scientists at the CNRS INSB took a very close look at a very familiar item, just a standard CBD dropper. Now, extracted from the Cannabis sativa plant, CBD is already famous for its anti-inflammatory and immunomodulatory properties, right? But the absolutely crucial point here is what it lacks. It has exactly 0 psychoactive effects. It does not get you high. And that makes it a hugely attractive candidate for widespread therapeutic use. But these researchers, they looked right past all that wellness hype and asked a very specific question. How does this common compound actually interact with our body's defense systems at a microscopic cellular level?
Which brings us to Section 2, au cœur du système immunitaire. To really grasp how CBD fights a virus, we've got to zoom way in from that little bottle of oil right down to the cellular level to meet the first of our microscopic characters. Say hello to TRPV1. That stands for Transient Receptor Potential Vanilloid 1. Now, I want you to just think of TRPV1 as a tiny biological alarm bell. It's an ion channel sitting on the surface of your peripheral sensory neurons, and normally its day job is just ringing to transmit signals for pain. But, and this is where it gets crazy, the researchers figured out that CBD acts as a trigger for this exact alarm bell. It unexpectedly activates the TRPV1 channel, and that sets off a truly fascinating chain reaction.
So, what happens when that TRPV1 alarm bell is pulled by the CBD? It releases our second microscopic character, CGRP, or calcitonin gene-related peptide. If TRPV1 is the alarm, you can think of CGRP as the security guard that goes rushing to the scene. Previous studies had kind of hinted that CGRP had some unexpected roles in the body, but today it is recognized as a crucial antiviral guard. It serves as this literal communication link between our nervous system and our immune system.
Okay, moving on to Section 3, les mécanismes de blocage.
So we've got our trigger, we've got our alarm, and we have our guard. Let's actually walk through this biological action sequence step by step to see how it plays out when a virus like HIV-1 tries to invade. Step 1, the CBD is introduced and it hits that TRPV1 alarm. Step 2, that activation forces the release of the CGRP neuropeptide. Step 3, this highly specific chain reaction goes to work directly in the genital mucosa. And that is huge because that is the front line where HIV-1 typically tries to enter the body. And right there, it effectively limits the viral infection.
Now, you might be wondering, why the genital mucosa specifically? Well, it houses these things called Langerhans cells, which act as the critical front line of infection. Normally, when HIV-1 enters your body, it targets these exact cells, essentially hijacking them to carry the virus much deeper into your immune system, specifically straight to your TCD4 lymphocytes. But remember our security guard, CGRP? When the CBD triggers its release, CGRP steps right into this critical juncture. It acts on those Langerhans cells and physically stops them from handing the virus over to the rest of the immune system.
But the science reveals some incredible nuance here because researchers didn't just look at Langerhans cells. They checked a whole range of targets. And it turns out CBD mounts a multi-layered defense. For the Langerhans cells and macrophages, the blocking mechanism is CGRP dependent, meaning it absolutely relies on that security guard we just talked about. But get this, for dendritic cells and TCD4 lymphocytes, the CBD still inhibits the infection, but through completely different CGRP-independent mechanisms. It's definitely not a one-trick pony. It is mounting a comprehensive, adaptable defense across multiple cell types. The microscopic outcome of this multi-layered defense? It's pretty dramatic. The researchers observed an almost total prevention of viral transmission. Literally, by acting on all these different cell types, the CBD physically blocks the cellular contacts that are absolutely necessary for the virus to propagate and spread. It basically throws up a microscopic wall, completely shutting down the virus's ability to communicate and multiply. Which leads us nicely into Section 4, Une nouvelle stratégie préventive. Okay, we've totally geeked out on the biology. But what does this actually mean for humans and global health policy? Let's zoom back out and contrast our current reality with this proposed future. Right now, we have PrEP, or pre-exposure prophylaxis. It is highly effective, especially the newer long-acting injectables, but we have to be honest about the hurdles. Current treatments can be wildly expensive, they can be incredibly difficult to access depending on where in the world you live, and they can come with side effects. Now contrast all of that with this newly proposed CBD PrEP. The scientists are suggesting a locally applied antimicrobial used during sexual intercourse. It's incredibly simple, and fundamentally, it's highly accessible. I mean, the real-world impact of this could be an absolute game changer. A CBD-based preventative would be ideal for limited-resource countries, where expensive pills or injectables just aren't an option. By simply applying it locally during intercourse, it provides straightforward protection. And the researchers even make a great point. Even if this strategy only ends up offering partial protection, making a cheap, simple tool available globally could drastically alter the entire landscape of the HIV-1 epidemic.
All right, let's pump the brakes for just a second, though. I want to ground our excitement with some responsible scientific reality. This is a very promising strategy for sure, but it has yet to be confirmed in humans. The cellular laboratory results are astounding, but science requires rigorous clinical trials. The jump from lab tests on cells in a petri dish to a commercially available product on a pharmacy shelf takes time, testing, and an absolute certainty of safety and efficacy.
So let's end with this really provocative thought. Un remède naturel abortable pourrait-il être la prochaine grande arme contre le VIH? The very idea that a super common plant extract could block one of the world's most notorious viruses challenges pretty much everything we assume about high-tech medicine. It shows us that nature still holds some incredible secrets, and that the path to global health equity might come from the most unexpected of places. Thanks so much for joining me for this Décryptage today. Keep questioning, keep learning, and I'll see you in the next one.